Welcome to What's Important to You, the podcast where we explore purpose, passion, and the moments that truly matter. I'm James Dean, and each week I sit down with inspiring guests to uncover what drives them, inspires them, and what's important to them. What do you do when life strips everything back and asks you to start again? In this conversation, we explore resilience, mindset, and the courage it takes to rebuild after challenge. It's about overcoming adversity, finding gratitude in uncertainty, and creating financial independence through self-belief and action. Today, we find out what's important to Serafima Briuchoveckiene. Hi, Serafima. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, James. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, lovely to really chat to you, and I'm really looking forward to this. We're going to dive straight in. So, Serafima, what's important to you?
Thank you, James, for that wonderful question. And in my prep for this podcast, I was thinking about that so much. And a lot of things went through my mind from financial freedom to something like meaningful goals and all this kind of wonderful stuff. But then I actually realized that what is the most important to me is resilience. Resilience. And it helped me all my life through all the challenges I've been through, from being born in a single mother parent, like single mother,
Yeah,
family, whatever you call it,
yeah,
to getting through bullying in school, to getting challenges in my work life, in my marriage, in my so many challenges that came my way. And I'm looking back at my life, and resilience helped me to get through all of this experiences, I should say. Some very,
yeah,
very wonderful, some less wonderful, but staying kind of strong inside, knowing like that I can get through this was really something that kept me going and kind of helped me survive, sorry
yeah,
to say. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. That's it. Like,
yeah. Love it. It's a really interesting word, resilience. And I think it's one of those, I think it comes and goes within sort of general conversation quite a bit. And I think it's one of those words that can be unfairly tagged onto young people that they don't have it. And I've been thinking of it a bit of a myth myself. Because it's all depending on environment and conditions. If you say it's one of those things, you might not necessarily be able to demonstrate resilience if you've not had to be resilient against something. So when you thought about that, is there a way you could describe what resilience then means to you?
okay, so when something happens to you, like some adverse experiences, as the psychologists now say, in the moment, you wouldn't describe it, oh, something adverse is happening to me. You just keep pushing through it. And some people think, oh, well, this will never end. And they give up and they don't get through this experience. So they just like, I can't deal with this. This is it. I'm out of it. But some people, they literally push themselves through it. And they just have this strong belief in their mind that I can do this. And at the end, there is light. And when I get through this, I'll be just fine. It may be difficult now, but when this experience is over, I will be just fine. And you just keep doing it until the issue or the problem or the situation resolves. And if you want me to describe it even shorter, I would say just keep doing something, no matter how hard it is, until it's done and over with. Until it's not hard anymore, until it's not scary anymore. Just go forward, just kind of push for it. And then it's done. And everything has the end. Everything has the beginning and the end. And not everyone realizes it. They just think, oh, this happened to me and this will just keep happening every day. No. Experiences come for us to get stronger and they end when you are strong. Or even if you want to say it, they will end when you are kind of lived through this experience and you learned what you meant to learn and it will be over.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. I love the fact that you recognized in that as well, where the reasons people will sort of try to quit or not face that challenge that they may be in or face whatever adversity that they're, to work through it and keep going is one is the potentially the amount of effort that they might have to put through. But it's also, as you say, it's that scary piece, it's that fear piece, because it's sometimes it's because it's that to me, it's that sometimes it's not even the thing, whatever it is scary. It's the fact that yourself, it's that sort of inner having to face yourself a little bit as well sometimes of what you're, is it what are the things that you're afraid of? Is it the fear of it going wrong, the fear of failure, the fear of other people, all these sorts of things. So I think it's really important. Both of those things is one is the effort involved, but also dealing with that fear as well.
Exactly. And some people don't know what they will find out about themselves when they go through this experience. And how will they be perceived by others when they have to face that? Because we kind of, when we see situation from the side, we think, oh, he should have done that, or I would have done this. But when you are in the situation, you can only do the best with the information and the resources you have. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, he have done it that way, or she done it this way, and I probably should have, would have, But no, it's not the route to go. You do the best with the information and with the knowledge and with the experience you have at the moment, and don't judge yourself.
Yeah.
This is important because a lot of people beat themselves up because they look 10 years back and they say, oh, I should have spent more time with my children. You couldn't. You just couldn't. You didn't do it by choice. You just couldn't. There was no time.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing, actually, when you say, because it's, as you say, when all of these things you will get through them, those things will come to an end and a point. And it's, as you say, when you get to that point to look back and reflect, and you said it earlier, what you can learn from any of those experiences. But that's a really other valid point there is when you do look back on something, if you look back and then just criticize yourself or beat yourself up, then in some ways it's almost the opposite of, it's not necessarily building resilience because you're telling yourself that you did it wrong. Does that make sense?
Exactly. You're kind of discouraging yourself from taking this again and again because you look
Yeah.
back and you beat yourself up. Rather, you should look back and say, okay, I've done this good. This probably wasn't the best, but now I can learn from this experience and this happens again. I will know exactly what to do. Or maybe you won't. Maybe the new experience will be completely new and any of the reflections will not help, but you just have to bring this positive mindset that everything will be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to, if you wouldn't mind it sharing, what do you think has been one of the biggest challenges that you've sort of overcome that demonstrates that resilience in yourself?
Lots of experiences come to mind. Just need to pick one, the right one. Or say the biggest challenge was the immigration for me. If I don't go into other adverse experiences,
Yeah.
immigration was a really tough one for me because when I just came to Ireland, I literally had 200 euro in my pocket. That's all. That's all I had. Somebody offered me to stay at their accommodation for 9 days. And I had 9 days and 200 euro in my pocket. It was so challenging, but I've gone for it. I traveled to Ireland and I found a job in 9 days. I found a new accommodation. I found whatever job, relationships, as in friends and people who kind of helped me. I made connections and stuff. But then I started working in a low profile jobs and I should say I fairly quickly realized that waiting tables and washing floors is not something that will get me too far. It was tough, I should say.
Mm,
It was tough. At some stage, like 2 years into my new immigration experience, I went to study in university and I studied accounting and finance in Dublin Institute of Technology, TU Dublin at the moment.
yeah.
And I think on the third year, like life was really hard. I can tell you, my God, like I had 6 years old son at the time. On my first year in college, he started junior infants. So for me, it was getting up, getting ready my kid for school, taking him to school. His school was just like 4 or 3 minutes walk from my university. I found it specifically for that purpose, so I can
Yeah.
and I had to drop him and be for class at 9. His school starts at 9, my class starts at 9. At the start, lecturers were very annoyed with me coming into the class 5 minutes into it, but then after every class, I had to explain myself, and then this time they're like, "Yeah, sure, look, just come," you know? And so I had to drop him and then jump quickly to the uni. And then thankfully I had like childcare organized. The uni helped me, Dublin Institute of Technology, they gave me grant to pay for the childcare. So I would pick him at 6 from the crash. After my uni, I would study in the library, no
Yeah.
breaks, like no going with the classmates, just like library classes, and then picking him up at 6 and driving back home and repeating everything. And then I also had
Yeah.
part-time job. So it was so intense, you can't imagine. But
Yeah.
on my third year, in my third year of college, you can imagine the third year, it's like you almost like you're nearly there. We ran into financial and should I say, was the end of it. Like we
Oh,
had no money to pay the rent. We had no money to pay the bills. Like I used to pay bills during the summer when I worked 3 jobs simultaneously to save up and to pay the bills for the previous year.
yes.
So it was like the end of it. Like it was like the rock bottom, if you want to call it that way.
Mm.
And I remember my husband at the time didn't have a job. I was broke. And I remember I spoke to him and I said, listen, this is it. Like, maybe I should drop out of college. And like, I swear to God, what he told me just ignited inside of me new wave of energy. And I just kept pushing for it. He was like, you know what? You are our only hope out of this poverty. And he was like, as long as we have food to feed the kid, you should go to uni. We don't really need to eat every day. He said, we can go on without food every day. We can eat every second day. But as long as we have food for the kid. And he had lunch in school. So I knew that in the morning he's looked
Yeah.
after. And in the afternoon, we just had to keep like feed him once. And he was like, as long as we can do that, you should go to uni. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my God, my God. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I went back to uni. And I think it took us another month of this before my grant was approved and there was the light at the end of the tunnel. It was in December, and in January, I received this USI grant because I paid
Yeah.
myself for uni.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The uni gave me the grant for the kid, for the childcare, for the half day.
Yes.
After school, he was collected, but I had to pay for the uni, for the rent. There was no social welfare, no nothing. And I remember we even went to shelter for homeless. They used to give
Yes.
bags of food every
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
We used to do that. Imagine, I used to do that. It was so challenging. It was really tough times, but we used to do that. And I'm really grateful that that help was available. You cannot imagine how
Yeah.
much it helped us. Yeah, so after I got this USI grant, somehow the job picked up. I was doing more cleaning, and somehow life picked up because I got my first professional job in Ernst& and Young because I did financial
Yeah.
accounting.
Yeah.
So that's where I was heading. And everyone kept telling me, "Oh no, it's not possible. You in Ernst and Young, forget it." And I was like, "It is so possible. This is exactly
Yeah.
where I'm going." And when I got my summer internship there, oh my God, I was so happy. Jesus Christ, you can't imagine. So from there, it just started to get better and better. But that December, it was the lowest point
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine. When I received that
Yeah.
letter saying you are approved, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my, like I didn't pay from September to December for the uni, so there was no money to pay. And they say until like you need to pay in January at least. And then I got the
Yes.
grant, everything got paid. My job looked up, and he found a
Yeah.
job somehow. Anyway, from there it just went boom, 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 boom. I got my job,
Wow.
like, and I like it was like summer internship. After that,
Yes.
I got a job offer. So you can't
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Just can't imagine.
Hi, James here. If you've been watching and thinking, I would like to make a change, but not sure where to start, that's where I can help. My 12-week coaching program will enable you to reconnect with what matters most and move forward with clarity and confidence. If that sounds like you, head over to jamesdeancoach.com. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, because this is why I'm really glad you shared it, because the whole point of, say, when we say a word, like something like resilience, it only becomes applicable when there's an experience to demonstrate it. And you know what I mean? And to the point, as you say, where essentially it was almost your rock bottom in that moment, where there was no money left, to the point where you're thinking, well, we as adults aren't going to eat every day, the child will, but even that sort of, in that moment when you were thinking of, as you say, walking away after, you know, almost one semester, you could say 2 semesters left, you know what I mean, of the degree, and for your husband at that time to say, oh, this is it, this is what you need to do it. And I think that, again, when we talk about, to me, I said that word earlier, the fear, the other side of it then is courage. It's having that bravery to kind of stick it out and almost have that belief that if you do keep going, that it will get better. So it's an incredibly powerful story to show you again. And then I suppose I'd be interested then, if you went fast forward the following December, the following year, what was that December like versus the previous one?
I can't describe this in words because I think it was just magical. That's
Yeah,
describe it because I had like a training contract. Like, I mean, for
yeah,
4 years, I had a professional job. And, like,
yes,
my school fees were paid. I didn't have any loans because normally I was driving my
yeah,
feet towards a new, like, year waiting for
yeah,
to earn. It was so liberating, it's
yeah,
amazing. And I said to myself that this is it. I've done it. Like, I mean, it's we.
mm,
I don't wanna say I
yeah,
because great
yeah,
support from my husband and from my son who stayed strong as well. Although he was very small, he saw that we're struggling, but, he never complained, he never cried, "Oh, why can't they have these expensive runners? All my classmates, they
mm,
have it. Why can't I have?" He was strong as well, so I had strong support at home. Super important. I mean, I have a lot of friends who was struggling because they don't have support at home. I did.
yeah,
The
yeah,
psychological safety support was there.
yeah,
But even though I was the one who had to be in the lectures, who had to take him to school, who had to do the finance, the planning, because not everyone is good at money planning.
yeah,
My husband wasn't. So I like looked after all of this. It was a lot of weight on me. But
sure,
then when I kind of knew this is it, like my hard work finally pays off. It was amazing and magical, and I think in January I worked one more last month, and then I quit working because now I knew that I need to get, what was it, upper merit, 65% average to get the contract because there was actually
yeah,
a layer of complexity that if you don't pass your exams, you're out, your contract is,
yeah,
and boom, you're unemployed again.
yeah, yeah,
Gave up my job to study even harder. So, like, I swear to God, I spent all my time studying in the library on Saturday, Sunday, studying, studying, studying. And I
yeah.
got distinction actually.
Wow. Well, fair play. Well, yeah, and I mean, and I think that it just shows the two things that you said at the beginning there. It was like, it's that one is the putting in the effort, not quitting. You know what I mean? It's not the quitting, and doing, even when you think it's scary, to keep going forward. And you say that that light will come at the end of the tunnel. It's that, no, it's an incredible example and story. And I think when you said, I'm interested as well, when you said at the beginning, part of it is the whole thing of you moving over and emigrating into Ireland. Was it part of that? One is obviously where you were coming from, your sort of the money you didn't have or the position you were in. Did you find it challenging moving to another country as well? Was that part of it as well? Culture change, different country. Was that any part of it?
Well, you see, I moved from Latvia when I had a very good job.
Okay.
My salary was 3 times minimum wage. So I was
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't move for money. I moved because I wanted to challenge myself. I felt that I can do better. I can do more things with my life. And coming to Ireland was a cultural shock to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shock. I was like, "What? It is so different." And as part of this cultural shock, I actually served as the chair of multicultural employee network in the places I worked in. And my agenda and my goal was to make other people who are coming from all over the world feel that they belong, that they're included. Because when I came, I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is it. Am I doing it? To be very honest with you, 9 months into it, I was like, no, 8 months into it, I was like, I'm out of here. I was like, can't do it, too much for me. And I went to Greece to live there. And 1 month into it, I was like, I miss Ireland. Get me back.
Wow.
So I came back.
That,
I felt that this is it. This could be my home. Although it was
love it.
challenging, the
Yeah.
culture is big. The experiences I went through were some adverse, some not so much adverse. But yeah, there was a lot of difficulties,
Yeah.
and especially the English spoken there.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it wasn't taught to me in school,
No.
Like, it's just so different. I was, like, looking at people, I was like, "I literally cannot make sense of what they're saying." And I speak English, like, fair enough, I speak better now, but at the time, I was like, "Okay, I had good marks in school, I was good,
Yeah.
you know?" But I came here and I was like, "What? What are they
Yeah.
saying?" You know?
Yeah. Well, the reason I love to ask that question because it's like because I'm 20 years in Ireland now, so my story, my background's a little bit different as well. And people who've listened to the show might have heard it before. So I was actually born in Germany. I grew up. My dad was a civil servant, but he worked for the British military. So I grew up on a British military base in the north west of Germany. So, so it was like English. I had sort of British English schooling, but I was there till I was 21. I went to university in England and that, but spent most of my life over there. So then when I moved over in 2005, I struggled with the language in a sense of the difference in the colloquialisms, the slang, the words, the use of words. So it took me a while, and obviously English is my first language. So I always think for anyone where English is not your first language and you come to Ireland where it's used completely differently again, it's a hard, and then the speed at which people can talk as well, depending on where you are in the country. I can, and especially if you said you were working in sort of hospitality, that brings its own layers of challenge as well.
And sometimes, but you see, again, resilience comes here. Again,
Yes.
I know a lot of people from whatever my community, from
Yeah.
different places. They come to Ireland and they stay in the small groups. They don't get
Yeah.
out of the groups. They kind of socialize. They go for barbecues. They kind of stay in their own circles, and they don't really speak English that much. And what is very common is that they take their children who were born in Ireland to come with them to translate. So
Yes.
living there 5-10 years and they still need them to help, they still need help.
Yeah.
That just shows that not everyone is resilient, because when you
Yeah.
come and you try to speak, it is hard. It is
Yes.
hard, you open your mouth and you want to say something, but the words don't come out the way you want it, or verbs are not correctly coming out, or tenses, and the sentences sound awkward. It's very discouraging, because if you're used to speaking your language and it sounds very good and easy and effortless, but then you need to come into a new place. Not only you need to make a new impression, you also have to sound correctly. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure in it, and not everyone is kind of happy to put up with that. Some people just say, "Okay, whatever, it's not for me. I'm okay. I have a small job as a whatever shop assistant. I have English, which is just enough, and I will just stay where I am, and it's fine. It's fine. It's everyone's choice." But what I'm just trying to say is that I understand it can be very challenging, and I've gone through
Mm.
this, because when I came to Ireland, I knew that I don't want to stay at that level. I
Yeah.
felt I can do better. And somehow nature gave me really good memory skills, ability to memorize a lot of information. So I'm really good at exams. I was like, well, I may as well put myself through uni, because
Yeah. Yeah.
good at memorizing stuff. Then I did tax exams, and that memory kind of served me again. So it was kind of like, I say it was effortless, but it wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah.
everyone is up for this. It's
Yeah.
challenging, and this is where you need that resilience.
100%. Absolutely. No, I love it. Yeah, I want to move into this because obviously you said you did that was your degree in finance, and then you did your tax exams. Is that right as well? So you're a
Yes,
tax advisor. So, because when I was looking briefly at now, so you said you were started at Ernst and Young, but you now, am I right that you work for yourself now?
exactly it. Yes.
Tell me about that sort of transition, or what made you think I'm actually going to do something on my own?
I'm trying to put a positive spin on it.
Okay.
But I suppose, and I'm super grateful for all the places and all the people I've worked with, the no hard feelings. But
Yeah.
I've worked in Ernst& and Young, and it was super challenging. Oh my God, I swear to God, it was super challenging, especially for somebody who had children. It was more challenging for those who didn't, and for the people who just come out of universities and they still live with mommies and daddies, and maybe they have luxury of 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day
Yeah.
or whatever number of hours a day they work,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's seasonal, of course, not every day, of course. But I didn't, I didn't have that luxury. For me, it was always like so stressful because I knew that every day I had to take my kid to different trainings. So I
Yes.
knew if I stay back, that means that he's not going to a training, or that my husband needs to take him and then he needs to finish the work. So there was that extra layer of complexity. And it was all the time, nonstop. And when I did my exams, I had to study Saturdays and Sundays. So for me, it was on 7 days a week. And when I was in uni, it was also 7 days a week for 4 years, because I did 5 days in college and 2 days in work. And like the days I didn't have work for Saturday and Sunday meant that we didn't have food. So I was like, okay, the choice is very easy maths. You just go to work. You're really tired, but you will somehow recover at some stage when this is all over. But then when I started working in professional environment, there was like 5 days in the office. I was intense, super intense, boom, 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 intense, intense.
Yeah.
And there's like networking events. You need to go to all of these events, and then who is going to collect my kid from crash? Who is going to read her bedtime story? Actually, like what is really kind of, and I hope I will not start crying. What is really truth is that the moment I went to uni and I sent my kid to the junior infant, until I finished my professional career, my son grew into a teenager. And like one day I just look at this guy who's higher than me, and I was like, I literally don't know you. I don't know the guy. And like, I just don't know him. Who
Yeah.
he is, what he likes, what is his favorite. Well, I know what is his favorite for soccer team because we took him to Madrid for his birthday to whatever. So I know it's Real Madrid all over. But you know what I mean? I don't know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when my daughter was born, and when I saw her kind of in the COVID, actually, the change came in the COVID. When we started
Yeah.
working from home,
Yeah.
and when I started having breakfast with my family, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my God, this is priceless." You wake up in the morning and you have time to make breakfast.
Mm.
Like, I can't explain how it feels when you see that both of your children sit with you at the table and we eat. And I don't need to kind of stuff myself with a sandwich on my way to a bus. Or in driving in the car and eating and driving it with one hand. And I was like, oh my God, I want this to continue into infinity. I can't,
Mm.
I was like, no, I just can't. And then my son was 16 and a half or 17. Horrible with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But he moved out. He was like, no, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. And then I was just left with my daughter. And I was like, I just can't do this again. And I was like, I worked in VHI at the time. And it's a very nice, nice, nice people, nice environment. It was just not working anymore. When I kind of worked from home from Spain, I was like, no, I just
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. I just
Yeah.
can't. So, but the skills,
Yes.
and like this is actually is something that I always tell people, and maybe that I took it from my mother actually. She says, or I now say that everything can be taken away from you. Your home, all of your possessions, even your clothes, but not your skills and your knowledge.
Mm.
That cannot be taken away from you. So I always tell to women mainly, or people,
Yeah.
invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. And then when the time comes, you will have this incredible vault of knowledge in your mind. And no matter what happens in your life, you can start over or you will figure it out if you have the skills and the knowledge. So that's what I had when I left employment, the skills
Yeah.
and the knowledge plus resilience.
Yeah.
And it all started when I still was in employment. People started calling me, can you do a tax return for me? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I was like, okay, fine, you know. And now when I left the job, more and more people are calling me. I don't advertise it and I don't put it
Yes.
out there. It's just people know people and they pass
Yeah.
me number on, you know. So that's how I still kind of have this practice, I should say. Practice
Yeah.
of one, you know. But in my last pregnancy, I have three babies, you know.
Yeah.
In my when I got pregnant with my last one, I started to do coaching because I felt
Okay.
that I have so much to give to people. And
Yes.
I wanted to help people to kind of to be part of their transformational journey. So
Yes.
now I work as a tax accountant, well, tax advisor, tax planner, whatever you call it, and doing
Yeah.
taxes for people. But I also have this coaching now background and also not really much advertising. I just feel that it will come naturally.
Yeah.
People will somehow trust me and find me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is the coaching part of it? What's that? What's the coaching element that you help people with?
I really want to help women. No, I want to help women to be financially independent, to create that safety net for them. Because I figured that, and maybe it's just my experience, maybe not everyone, but I figured that you cannot relax as a woman. You cannot immerse into feminine energy if you don't feel financially stable. It's like if you always worried, like, who's going to provide for me? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going like it's very hard to just I mean it's for men as well hard, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
impossible for anyone. Like if you just can't relax, if you don't have the safety net, if you don't have knowledge and strong belief that you can provide for yourself into the future, you know, everyone will have anxiety. Everyone. And it's specifically women, they stuck in unhealthy marriages.
Mhm.
And I didn't bring this financial adversity into the picture, but I've gone through a lot of adversity, incredible amounts of adversity. Like a short story is that I was born in the Soviet Union, in the wrong
Yeah.
part of it, in
Okay.
Latvia. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
collapse happened. We became from whatever, having amazing life, everything was provided for us to nothing. All of the factories were closed. People left the country. There was like chaos. And my mother lost her job after job after job. And she was stuck in unhealthy relationships because she couldn't provide for us. And
Yeah.
I, as a child, suffered from that a lot.
Yes.
So I learned when I was very young that if I don't control, if I depend on somebody else to put the
Yeah.
food on my table, I'm screwed. And this is when I learned that I need to be able to provide for myself or for my children. I
Mm.
cannot ever allow to be dependent on anyone but myself.
Mm.
So that,
Yeah.
like, and I've seen a lot of broken marriages or a lot of friends or acquaintances.
Mm.
I know women stay in unhealthy marriages, put up with a lot of adverse experiences because they cannot provide for themselves.
Yeah.
Because they are afraid that, you know, when they leave, they have to work.
Mm.
Imagine that there are people out there who have never worked in their lives.
Mm.
Now, when they kind of become pregnant and they're like, okay, now I will be a mother, I will give up my job. And then year after year, things happening. And then the less you work, the less you want to go back to it or you want to start. And then you end up in relationships that are not fulfilling, are not happy, but you're stuck
Yeah.
because you have to start from the rock bottom. Maybe
Yeah.
tables if you have never went to uni, maybe, I don't know, some jobs that probably are
Yeah.
not enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's what I am about, to help women
Yeah.
to find the light at the end of the tunnel. and to start providing for themselves the safety net, planning, financial planning, a lot of, because I have my financial background and tax background. So a
Yeah.
lot of my clients come to me and they're like, oh, I want to have security, financial security. And then we start, okay, define.
Yeah.
Define. What is it? Because a lot of people, they have this idea in their mind that they want to be financially stable, but when it comes to defining it, they struggle. So we
Yeah.
to kind of sit down, define. So they go and define it, and I'm like, okay, so now put a number on it.
Yeah.
This is when the hardest work begins because they it's hard for people to put a number on their financial stability. But after they have put the number, it's so easy.
Mm.
I had the client, she was saying that I want to be able to provide for my child's education. Okay, let's look into it. Apparently, the child is just 6 years old, and she expects that in 12 years, the education will cost something like 4,000 a year, and it will be 4 years. So we kind of, I take out my big scare calculator and I multiply 4,000 a year by 4 years is 16,000. Now he's 6, so we have another 12 years. So we divide that by 12 years, and she's like, but I only need to set up aside 2,000. That's all?
Yeah.
There is your financial security, 2,000 a year.
Yeah.
She's like, wow, I never realized
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it's like simple tweaks like that or mindset changes take
Yeah.
you out of the jail into the light.
Yeah. It's absolutely, and it's so much you just shared there is incredibly powerful. But I think even just that example you just gave there, when people aren't in necessarily not even in control, but they're not aware of their circumstances, so they're not invested in their own circumstances and things like that. And you say the less they're involved in it, the more they drift away from something like that. So even something as arguably for yourself and myself, something as simple as maybe understanding that saving element for something like that, an education for a child. And it almost seems so far away, like the child's 6 and their education at university is, as you say, 12 years away. It almost feels so far away that it's almost not tangible yet. It doesn't feel real as yet. So it's almost like putting it off or not just thinking it will happen versus, well, actually, if you engage with someone now and get them to understand, well, what controls and agency do you have right now that you can implement that will enable that at some point. And then especially then it becomes, there's a couple of things, I suppose, I'm sure for what you were talking about. One is obviously there's a huge amount of mindset change and emotional change, I'm sure, with a lot of the women you work with. But then it's the practical side of stuff as well. And actually taking those, what arguably seems simple steps, but actually putting them into place. It's also, I think it's also that, and it's, I actually hate, I'm going to use the phrase that I actually hate, but it's that awful phrase of in this day and age. But it is that, considering what we think is we have a modern society, again, whatever that means, that there are obviously women, or actually disproportionately women, who are finding themselves in those financial situations. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's even now, it's still arguably going to be women in the situation where they potentially can't move on because of either they don't have the financial security or they have a fear of financial security because of the situation that they find themselves in. So it's quite a hard one to hear, really, isn't it?
It is hard. It is hard.
Mm,
What I always say is that you need to weigh in what is harder to stay
yeah,
where you are
yeah,
and just be there until the end.
yeah, yeah,
If you do nothing, nothing will change.
yeah,
Or face the
yeah,
issue and do something about it.
yeah.
You weigh it in. What is more scary? What is hard?
Mm,
Sometimes people say, oh, it's hard to jump this hoop, but it's harder to stay there. It's harder. But people get used to it. It's comfortable because they know how to
yes,
manage this and they don't know
yes,
that there is a better life.
yeah, yeah.
It can be done better or differently. There's always a choice.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And I was wondering, when you when you've worked with the women that you've worked with, I'm always interested to ask people who work with, people in these situations. Is there anyone that you obviously don't name them, but is there anyone that you've worked with almost through from a beginning and to see them at the end and see what the actual difference is from say the day one to when they've actually gone through the transition and what they actually, how they are once they've kind of come through their own challenges? What are they like?
Well, I haven't coached anyone to leave their adverse experiences just yet,
Yeah.
but I have coached somebody who was looking for financial whatever stability.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that when they realize that they are already okay.
Yes.
You know that
Yes.
kind of way because we have in our mind that being okay is something big,
Yes.
but actually being okay is like a mental thing. It's like,
Yes.
I always say the wealth is a state of mind.
Yes.
And the poorest person in the room, but you feel wealthy. And I had like a conversation with a person the other day. He's millionaire, and I talked to him like on a casual level. We were at the networking, and like we come to kind of talking about the family. And I said, "Well, I have 3 children," and he's like, "You are richer than I am, because I just have money. I don't have family." You know what I mean? So it's the state of mind. So going back to that example with the person I
Yeah.
work, she came to me very kind of obviously frustrated and worried about the future. And then when we put this all in the paper and she put the number against it, and she's like, "Oh, I want to be kind of stable and financially independent when I make 100,000 a year." Okay, my question logical. How much are you making now? You know how much she's making now? 80,000 a year. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And I was like, okay, like, how do we bridge this 20,000 gap into the future? And actually, what was the biggest realization for her is that when I asked her to put a number on the retirement, because she was like saying, "Oh, I want to retire early." I was like, okay, let's put a number on it and let's count the back days. How many,
Yeah.
like, years, obviously.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, so soon. Oh,"
Yes.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that realization where people see,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
it's magical. It's the magical moment, and I believe that we as coaches, this is like what we thrive, from, because when we
Yeah.
see in the eyes of the client, that, wow,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't realize, or oh my God, I'm actually okay now, So
Yes.
it was a happy moment for me as well to see that she's actually realizing that she's okay, and then
Yes.
this needs to keep doing what she's doing to be okay in the future,
Yeah.
or
It's
outsource
a
somehow.
that's a brilliant example because it's that, and it's again, this isn't the whole thing of when you're with someone, it's not about judging them or blaming them or anything like that, but it's just for whatever reason, we can all do it. We get caught up in the next thing or what we believe is the thing that once I have X, then I will be, whether it be happy, secure, whatever the adjective is. Once I have this, and as you say, once you start putting a number on it, and it's because then someone could say, oh, once I get to 100K, then they go, well, maybe it's actually 120. Or it'd probably be 150. It could just keep going versus the sort of, well, what is it right at the moment? And that shift in perspective, that shift in will actually, well, what would it, if you get to that, what changes? What does it how will you be different in some ways? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, the realization in sometimes it's something that's just in your mind. I think there's a power when you actually, as you say, well, what if you wrote it down? What if you actually put some specifics to it? What does that, and people can realize and go, right, okay. You know what I mean? It's that as opposed to thinking it existentially, do you know what I mean? Just thinking it out there versus being that much more deliberate or specific. And sometimes you'll realize that it's actually what you have, as you say, you already have. And there was I'm trying to remember, I've watched so many clips and podcasts and stuff myself, but it's a similar story that I saw where someone was sharing of a lady. Again, I think it was a lady, a coaching client, and he was almost that sort of wanting to show other people, not for herself, but to prove to other people that she was where she was, that she's number one. And again, this The example was that lady, she was already a millionaire. She'd always was earning a million a year or whatever it was. You know what I mean? That sort of the seven-figure sum. And when they went into the specifics of like, well, how many people do you think earn this a year in their business? What's the percentage of people that actually do this? And when you get into the detail, it's like the sort of the less than 1%. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, who else are you trying to prove this to? Because I always think that one, that there's a danger of like trying to prove someone wrong or prove someone right. They might not actually give a shit.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You're doing this, all of this effort for someone else to show them this or show them that, whether you're trying to make them proud of you or you're trying to prove them wrong. You could get there and they'll just go,
I just
so?
don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like what you were saying, I was on the long way around to saying is like, bring it back to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Why is it so important? Yeah.
But a lot of people do it from the lack of acceptance.
Yeah.
They do it outside of the trauma, you know.
Yes.
There is a lot of work needed for that kind of people.
Yeah.
They just don't have the end. There's never end, actually.
Yes.
There's always next person richer than you are. Or that
Yes.
millionaire, the millionaire who's literally saying, "You are richer, you have family. I just have
Yes.
money."
Yeah.
That kind of way. So I
Yeah.
really
It's such
try to work.
powerful.
It is so powerful. I was like, yeah, fair enough. I accept it. I'm richer, I'm wealthier than you are. And I always, when I work with my clients, I'm trying to kind of, because I have a lot of spiritual background as well. I do a lot of
Yes.
kind of reading and retreats and stuff. So what I'm trying to kind of help my client with is to be grateful for what you already have.
Mm.
Look at your whatever financial economics, if you want to call it that way, and just do an audit of what you already
Mm.
have, because maybe you want to have Tesla but you already have Lexus. Maybe you want to have 5-bedroom house but you have 4-bedroom house. So stop for a second and appreciate what you have. you know this is so important, because sometimes people don't appreciate that. Come on, you have 2 legs and 2 arms, and this is massive gift of the nature. And that's what I work with my clients, and with this I work. And a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, okay, I didn't think of that." You know,
Yeah.
like just being
Absolutely.
grateful and stopping for a second and looking at what there is already.
Yeah. And I think I meant to go back to it, but I think that also that point of that gratefulness can tie into that bit that you said earlier about investing in yourself in a sense as well, about skills, experiences, educations. Because I think a lot of people as well, and maybe the women that you said that they dismissed themselves if maybe they've been out of the workplace for a long period of time, or they've been doing the same thing for a long period of time, whatever, or what to go back into. But they'll dismiss the actual skills that they have, the experience that they have. It might not necessarily be on a piece of paper. So they believe that because it's not from a college or a university, etc., it's not a formal thing. That means that what they possess isn't the right or good enough, versus tapping into what are the things that you can bring. So it's also, I think there's an element of awakening or reawakening what people actually have within themselves, what they actually have as a sort of material side of stuff, but what they actually have as the skills and experience they bring. And I'm sure when you get the people to express that, that's kind of they kind of realize it as well, that how much they do already have. You said it earlier, the resources you already have within yourself.
Exactly. And the knowledge that it could be a case that the woman was spending all her life with the children, and now children growing up and they kind of gone onto their adventures. But all her life, she was raising children. It's educational process. Is like if they came out very well and like very successful, Jesus Christ, she can open an agency and teach other people to do that.
Yes.
There's like, if you have some gift or skill or a hobby, you can convert it into a business. If you know,
Yes.
because like people need help with a lot of things, and specifically with raising children, I can tell you this.
Yeah.
I would need some help with that. But like the fact that somebody didn't have like 9 to 5 job doesn't really mean that
Yes.
they don't know anything. They may have
Absolutely.
amazing skills, like people skills, feeling the room, you know. A lot of people come into unknown environment and they get lost. But if you were married with 3 sons, I'm sure you can navigate energy in the room because you just kind of
Yeah.
lived all your life
Feel it.
in that environment and you learned to feel the mood changes, the change in the tone, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
things seem like, oh, sure, look, it's normal. For us women who work 9 to 5, it's not normal. It's not normal.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
example, a little bit into my personal sharing, recently I went to a retreat and I was told that I need to awaken my feminine energy. And I'm like looking at her, like thinking, so at the moment, I'm looking for somebody who will help me with that, you know? So maybe there is a woman who was looking after the children all her life, created an amazing family. It's a hard job. It's a hard job to have a family. Maybe she's an expert in that feminine energy. And there are so many clients looking for that. So you never know what is
Yes.
your next thing. And the fact that you never worked in your life or that you're stuck in a job that you hate doesn't mean that you can't change your life around.
100%. And I think especially with the way that the world of work continues to change, as you say, that so many sort of people can do things for themselves and share those skills and share that knowledge. The opportunity is absolutely there for people. As you say, it's just being able to help those people bring it out of themselves. Absolutely. So much in it. So much in it, and what you shared is it's so powerful as well. But what I love is the fact that even just this brief conversation with yourself is you have done it. Do you know what I mean? You've been through it, you've done it. And I think then what you're able to then help and enable those other women to do is one through your knowledge, but the experiences that you've had is truly, yeah, powerful. And I think is hugely beneficial for those women. I have a few questions to still ask you, Serafina, that I ask everyone. So the first one is there a quote or a phrase that is important to you?
Yes, of course. I will try to translate it correctly into English, but I looked it up with ChatGPT this morning, and it says
Good.
the beauty of the soul that endure suffering will save the world. And you may not know it, but it comes from this Crime and Punishment of Dostoevsky. And it is used incorrectly. It makes me feel so sad because what people say is that the beauty will save the world. And it's just so different. Just completely changes it. And they go and say, "Oh, the beauty will save the world." It's quoted by Dostoevsky, and it's a famous Russian poet author.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I've read that book a few times, and I'm like, no, no, this is not how you say it. The beauty of the soul that endured and like went through suffering will
Yes.
save the world. Basically,
Yes.
we all have bad experiences. Bad things happen to people. But if you come out of that experience and you're still nice and you're still positive person and you still want to help other people despite that the shit happens to you,
Yeah.
that will save the world.
Yeah.
And I praise by this quote. I love it. I keep telling it to myself every time that adverse experience comes my way. I'm like, after I get through this, I want to remain as good person as I am. Although in the moment you sometimes want to scream, sometimes you want to kill somebody, like with the words, of course. But
Yes.
I just say to myself, stay strong, stay beautiful, don't go into these experiences. And I think this is the quote I keep telling to myself all the time.
Love that. Yeah, no, love it. Absolutely. It's a fabulous one. And yeah, no, and you say yeah, say it again to me. The beauty of the soul is in the suffering.
All that gone through suffering, which implies that the shit happens to you, but you remained human.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the, as you say, and you say, well, it was shortened and just completely
Completely lost the
lost in the moon. Yeah. Yeah. Lost the point of it because it's the fact that even just like those two words almost don't seem to go together, the beauty and suffering. Do you know what I mean? It's the fact that those in there, and it's like, so it's, yeah, no, and then the word of endure, like, it's just, yeah, fabulous, and it massively demonstrates what we've been talking about as well, which I love it. So it's a fabulous one. Next question: who do you think have been the biggest influences in your life?
I've been thinking about big names,
Yeah,
but I actually came to a realization that this is just my mother.
yeah,
My mother
yeah.
influenced me so much, and I remember through like all the experiences that she went through, and she always tried to like have like a little business, or we had a farm, and sometimes all the chickens would die and we had no food, and my mom was like, no, we can't give up, we now buy new idea, now we will buy goats, and we will have a goat, and then the goat will give milk and we will sell this milk. I actually can milk a goat, imagine. I was since I was 12, because that was my mother's amazing idea. But she just kept so resilient, and she just kept
Yeah,
being positive. Oh my God, so much adversity happened to her, but she just kept saying, "Okay, I will knit," like making things,
yeah, yeah,
and I will sell that, and that will give us money. And then she's like, "Oh, I will like sew, and then I will sell these clothes, and that will make us money to buy food." So she just had new idea after like something didn't work out. She's like, "No, scrap this. Now I have a better idea." But a lot of people could just give up and say, "No, life is
yeah,
whatever. World is horrible. I can't do this. Like, I just give up." And but she just kept at it. She was like, no, we will be fine. And I had no doubt, that we will be fine. Although growing up, I saw that we are not
mm,
doing well,
yeah,
but she just kept so resilient. So
yeah,
I think she's the biggest influencer because
yeah,
when something happens to me, I remember what my mother lived through. And I say to myself, if she
yes,
could live through this experience, you can do this little thing.
yeah, yeah,
So she's been
yeah,
super, super cool.
yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, and I love what I was actually referencing this the other day in a post when I because I ask everyone that same question that comes on, and I obviously get people who will say, sort of people in the public eye, you know what I mean? They'll say people influencers, but the amount of people I'd say is probably half, maybe more than half will say someone that's close to them, whether it be mother, father, grandparent, uncle, aunt, because I think, and it's not to say people in the public eye can't influence you, but I think sometimes those people closest to you inevitably will. But it's taking that, because when you see it, and I was actually thinking this when we were talking earlier, when you were talking about that time when you say when you stuck with college, that's the first example you said, and you said that time your son, and obviously the fact that he's seen you through it as well. You saw your mum be that resilient. So it's so much is about demonstration. I think obviously people want to protect people from stuff, but you can't hide it either. Do you know what I mean? There still has to be that sort of almost sort of visual of demonstrating of like, yeah, things. It's not. Let's not pretend. You know what I mean? There's no point pretending that things aren't hard, because if you pretend things are fine, then what service are you doing to your child or your spouse or your whoever it is? That there has to be that sort of appropriate on openness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of what you saw and the fact that you had those challenges, but the examples, your mum was like, no, we'll try something else. We'll try. We try. And I think that sort of is a powerful thing, because it's obviously impacted you massively because you're able to do it yourself. So thanks for sharing that. Really, really powerful. And I think what I love about it is that for other people, sometimes if they're hearing or watching this, is like, if you're thinking of someone, or maybe I don't have someone who influences me, maybe look closer to home.
Yes.
They might be closer to you than you maybe think.
Exactly.
Serafima, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you. It really has. I have one more question for you, which is, what's important for your future?
I suppose for my future, it's important to stay resilient and to
Yeah.
keep doing what I'm doing because I want to help people and I want to bring this experience out to masses or to my clients and help them to get through that adversities they have at the moment. And for me, of course, it's to just enjoy my life. To At the moment, I'm working on my spiritual development, and I want to come to a life where I can be easy, light, what you call ignite my feminine energy at some stage. Just have joyful life. This is what
Yeah.
I'm aiming for. I'm not aiming for making millions because
Yes.
it's just so. It sounds like amazing idea, but how much energy, how much time
Yeah,
I need to invest, what I need to do to get it. I just rather be joyful and happy every day and just have financial security and just enjoy my life because we never know how much we have left of it.
absolutely. And as I said, it's been a pleasure to chat to you. I want to make sure that people do know about you and what you do and how you can help them. So we'll make sure any links are in the show notes. But if you would like to give a shout out now where people can follow and connect with you online.
So mainly I am on LinkedIn and I have small Instagram presence, but it's I need to hire SMM agent, whatever. It's hard, yourself. But
Yeah,
the people can find me on LinkedIn, and I will leave my contact details if anyone wants to reach,
yeah,
learn a little bit
yeah,
how to live more joyful and happy life.
absolutely. And so the links to Serafima's LinkedIn will be in the show notes. So make sure you check that out. Thank you once again for chatting to me
Thank
today. Thanks for listening to What's Important to You. If you enjoyed this episode, follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if it resonated, share it with someone who might need it too. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment or ask a question, and let's keep the conversation going. I'm James Dean, and I'll be back soon with another real conversation to help you reconnect with what truly matters. Until then, take care and stay curious.